The heck's going on? Alright, I think I'm live. Oh, here we go. Sorry guys, I'm having problems with YouTube today. I think I'm live. I just wanted to come in for the close for a little bit here. And since it's a pretty bad day, I wanted to look at things. Oh, there you are. Sorry, like I said, guys, having a hard time. Finally got to chat. There we go. So I'm not going to stay on very long. I just got back from the store. And NASDAQ down 4% today. Horrible day in the markets. Definitely broke that trend line pretty definitively at this stage of the game. We're coming up, like I said, on the Christmas holiday. Christmas is in basically one trading day. I think we're open Monday, but I can't imagine there's going to be a tremendous amount of volume. Tesla's holding up relatively well, up 1.5%. A few stocks are still doing good. Nike's still doing good. MMNFF up 10% today. So a couple things are doing good, but they're selling. It seems like they're selling all the things, and there's the market close. Seems like they're selling everything they haven't sold. We talked a little bit about that yesterday. They sold Twitter off in tremendous fashion over the past week. Yesterday with the Citron report. Looks like this is when they knew about the Citron report. Hey. So, Two Boys is crazy over here. Two Boys is crazy over here. And that's them closing the door. So, like I said, they've been pretty much selling everything off that they have been not selling off over the past couple of months since we started dropping over here in October. Let's take a look at Apple. Last time I looked earlier, Apple was down a bunch. Yeah, still down a bunch. Another huge volume down day for Apple. Getting much lower towards this trend line. We're probably going to hit it at some point in time. The selling's been pretty brutal and relentless. Amazon down 5.71% if my non-glasses wearing eyes are looking at that correctly. Huge day down for Amazon, which was holding up fairly well. Now undercutting lows, not looking good at all. Microsoft, let's see if that undercut lows. It definitely did undercut lows. So Microsoft is kind of the bellwether of strength for the market. Those three alone right there are definitely causing us issues, and a lot of issues today. So they were holding up Microsoft, or at least they weren't holding it up. They weren't selling Microsoft, and it looks like they changed their minds here in this past week, started selling it when it looked like the market really wouldn't come back. Looks like they started distributing some Microsoft. So we have institutions distributing quite a bit. If we go down in order of market cap, you've got Berkshire Hathaway here taking out a trend line that's been in since 2016. So definitely going into the bear market. Maybe all of next year. Maybe we'll get one that's a year and change. What does that mean in terms of where we could go? Does it mean we drop through the whole year and end up, all the way down here? I don't know if that's the case. Seems highly unlikely, but I don't know if you guys can hear that or not, but they are loud. Very, very loud. Today's also Quadruple Witching Friday. So options expire, futures expire, stocks expire. Okay, stocks don't expire, but you get the drift of it. Man, they're loud. Let's see what's losing today. Solar Fund, CRISPR, Emmys, Jazz, AMRN. Looks like that one's finally died. We talked a few days ago, looks like about a week ago, maybe Monday, about it crossing this trend line. Looks like that is now on its way lower. Pretty badly there. Like I said, Tesla holding up pretty good in this market. No one's really selling off their Tesla. We don't have any elevated volume. Average volume has only been breached one time. That was on that actual ultimate recent top at about 380. Anyone buying today? I'm not buying today. It probably... Well, we'll get a bounce at some point, and we're going to retrace some of this move. We talked a while ago about most of these moves get retraced. The only part that wasn't retraced was this little top area right here. There's a possibility that some of this doesn't get retraced. Maybe we bounce back up into into some other function, but usually you'll get like a retest of some other prior level. The market really likes to back and fill. It's kind of like one step, two steps forward, one step back type of a thing. We never go straight up. We never go straight down. It's always a stair step in some fashion. But recently here we've had a waterfall reaction, and I'm actually surprised our volume isn't a lot heavier than it is. I'm sure once the futures settle out and once everything is settled, we'll see volumes much higher. Once all the dark pools and everything's settled, we'll see volumes and they'll jump up, probably double. Like Tesla will probably have much higher volume today due to it being a quadruple witching Friday, triple witching Friday, whatever you want to call it. So we probably will see elevated volumes once everything settles, only 4 minutes after the close. And but yeah, it doesn't look like too many people are necessarily buying. The futures aren't really rallying here, which is not a positive sign. Sometimes after a big down day, the futures will rally, covering some short positions, but it doesn't look like there's much of an appetite for that today. It appears that we're just going to drift lower. So I wouldn't be getting super aggressive. We're definitely, we hit a bear market yesterday. We're now deeper into that bear market territory, and I would assume we're going to be even deeper. The way that the charts are looking, kind of had some hope a couple of weeks ago, and now not really so hopeful. Now I think we're just looking to see where this thing's going to end. I'm still counting days for a follow-through day. Just haven't had a day 1 yet. We've had day 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Not even a day 1 yet. So we're looking for the day 1, and we're looking for what would be some good charts out of some leading stocks. So like Netflix is a FANG stock. Looks like it's coming down after a really massive run. If you look at it in 2018 from 200 to 400, a double there in about 5 months. You could almost consider that parabolic. You got Facebook, which I'm assuming had a bad day today. It's down 6% today. All these large caps. Large caps have really been leading over the past couple of years. It's been a large cap type of a market, and you can see them taking profits out of the large caps and reducing risk off the table, especially in some of those tech names. Like we saw Apple, Amazon. We just looked at Facebook. We saw Twitter. What else? See if Intel's doing anything. Yeah, they're selling off too. We have Intel selling off. We had Micron the other day with a bad day. Today with another bad day. So not too much green around. But luckily we got a weekend ahead of us, and then the holiday the next week. Christmas is on Tuesday. Markets will be back on Wednesday. And so, yeah, Nike did have a nice pop. Excuse me. Pretty good volume on Nike, although it did not close towards the high of the day. But if you view, let's see if I can get out of this. So there's the previous close. If you view that all as one candle, the close wasn't bad. Close wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. But under the 200-day, under the 50-day at this stage of the game on Nike, so there's really nothing bullish about most of these charts. I've been trying to remain positive, but it's the market is not wanting that. What's up, Ian? Yeah, the market is not wanting positiveness. It's ripping your soul out of your chest. It's what it's doing. Yeah, so I closed out my TQQQ position, and actually a couple of days ago, and I'm in cash pretty much. I got a couple long-term options in MJ, which are pretty deep underwater at this stage, actually, just to be complete transparent with you guys. Also have a Twitter trade, which is in pretty bad disarray right now. Haven't been making good decisions in this last leg of the bear market. Well, I can't say that. I went cash a few days ago, so I missed a good amount of pain right there, but my Twitter trade is badly underwater. I've got it till June, and it's probably going to expire worthless the way things are going. Pretty much got out of everything else, though, so I'm in a vast majority cash. I wish I was all cash. Wish I was all cash a little bit earlier. But, it is what it is, and you just kind of have to go from there. So what we're doing now is we're kind of resetting the market. This is actually an exciting time, believe it or not. I'm kind of happy we're here. Like, to be quite frank with you, I'm happy we're here because the charts are resetting. I don't know when they're going to be good again. Could be 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. Nobody knows. But we're going to have good charts again, and we're going to have rip-roaring rallies coming up over the next, whenever that happens. And then at that time, there'll be lots of gains to be had, and I'll be here taking those gains off the table, taking those profits, and honing my rules some more for my strategies, and yeah, depositing more money in my kids' Roth IRA. It'll be good to go. But that's when the markets are healthy. That's not today. Today is, today's a bad day. No doubt about it. Ending the day on this kind of a note, or the year, I should say. Because when you look at the calendar, we pretty much have next week, which is pretty much all holiday. And then we have the following Monday, and then we have New Year's. So we probably have 2 weeks, week and a half of, the next 2 weeks should be very low volume. It can be difficult to trade in a low volume environment. I will say this, so after such a deep run, man, I don't know. I mean, when you think about things, so here's the funny thing. Like, if you go to FinViz and you look at the high market cap, names, let's go do that real quick. My kids are running out front now. Cute. When you look at the high market cap names, we had Apple, we had Amazon at $1 trillion market cap. That seems pretty high. Now, you could argue a case where Apple could be worth $1 trillion. I'm not so sure about Amazon at this point, but you could make the argument for Apple with its cash hoard and sales and things of that nature. You could make an argument Apple may be worth about $1 trillion, but generally, there you go, 200 billion and more. But generally, there's not too many companies that should be in that realm by any stretch of the imagination. And like I said, I don't necessarily think Amazon's one. I'm not sure if Microsoft is or isn't. I haven't looked into it that much. Google from a PE ratio, I'm not sure if that is supposed to be up there or not. Of course, they have their video over here. So, pretty extended here. Like, I don't know what a reasonable expectation is for Apple. If you actually look at Apple's chart, their PE is low. I mean, they have 10, 12 PE, 13 PE. Forward PE is 10. Apple's actually always, for the past, 5 years now, 6 years, Apple has been a value play, which is interesting for a company growing at 30%. Apple's been a value play. When you really look at the numbers and the PE ratios, which is what a vast majority of value investors look at, they'll definitely take that PE into account. It's been under the S&P 500 from my understanding. So, what is a good market cap for Apple? I'm not exactly sure on that one, but apparently it's less than $768 billion. If you look at Amazon, their forward PE is, I think, still really high, 90 in terms of that, and 54. So it looks like they have a little bit, or should say, maybe even quite a bit of downside to go here. No one knows where this story ends. In time, it'll be back probably, but I don't know when. You could make an argument. We've seen parabolic runs in a lot of these. You look at the monthly on Amazon. You don't necessarily have a high volume, like a traditional high volume top which you would get out of a parabolic run, but you do have what appears to be on the monthly here a pretty good parabolic run in Amazon. So there could be an argument that maybe you could get a 50% plus clip in this. Maybe if this bear market continues, I mean, that's a pretty ominous selling month right there on Amazon. You look at Apple, I don't think it's not quite as parabolic, and you look at the volume dry up. I mean, it may just be there was really nothing left to buy. That may be the reason. We talked about peak economy. We talked about a few things in terms of what could be causing us to be in a longer term downtrend. And I think peak economy is essentially what it is. Man, kids. But yeah, so you look at the volumes here on Apple actually declining. It's almost like, peak economy, peak growth, and a peak stock. Who's left to buy? So they start distributing, and that may be what they're doing here. You have some people aren't going to sell. A lot of institutions still know that Apple is a cash cow, and it is. Buybacks, dividends, things of that nature. So Apple's a pretty safe investment. That's why Warren Buffett took a pretty big stake, and he'll probably be increasing his stake on the way down here. But for traders and other individual investors who really look to run it on the way up, these types of things are problematic for us. Microsoft, not really parabolic, but definitely extended in an uptrend. Going back to 2016, you look at this is a monthly chart again. Again, declining volumes until the topping candle right there. So really no one left to buy, I think is probably the main impetus for this when you think about it. Like, who's left to buy Apple? Who's left to buy Amazon? Who's left to buy Microsoft? I don't know. I don't know who's left. Who's left to buy them? And so they're selling them. That's what they do, is they're selling them. Google looks like a little bit of a head and shoulders there on the monthly. Take us down from 13 to 700 maybe, down to about 700. Again, declining volumes. No one left to sell. There's just no one left to buy. I think that really could be what's causing us to do what we're doing here right now. So, anyway, I just wanted to jump on the horn here at the end of the day. I happen to be here a couple minutes before the close. Thought I'd say a few words, say goodbye to the stock market. I mean, look at this week, man. This has been a pretty red week. Pretty red week right there. It's almost like they said the Fed, all right, Fed, well, you know what? If you're not going to give us low interest rates, we're just going to tank the economy. And, we'll see. Usually, the stock market doesn't lead recessions. There are other indicators that do that, and we also have those other indicators, and I feel like the market may be listening to those indicators, as well as what I was just talking about, is no one left to buy. There's no one left to buy the market up here. They've been buying Amazon and Apple for 10 years. So we could have a longer bear market. Let's look at this chart. Let's go find that chart of bear markets. We saw one the other day. Yeah, here it is. Let's look at a couple of these real quick. And okay, so we got, okay, you don't know what you're doing. Okay, so we have a couple of little bears. This one's interesting. Morningstar's bull market chart omits mini bear markets. It definitely omits a few bear markets. I'm not quite. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm not quite sure why it does omit that. And that is correct. It looks like there's a few. What industry's jobs will be hurt most by a recession? So here's the thing. If you're like a 4%, a recession, I believe, is defined by 2 quarters of declining GDP. Is, I believe, the definition. A period of temporary economic decline during which trade and industrial activity are reduced, generally identified by a fall in GDP in 2 successive quarters. So there you go. So 2 successive quarters, going from, like, what's the GDP numbers in GDP by quarter 2018. I mean, it's been pretty insane due to the tax cuts. 3.4%, 4.2%. We can't go any higher. Like, literally, if we go any higher with the economy like this, when you think about it, I think we were at like 2%. Let's see, GDP numbers by quarter. Yeah, let's see if it'll give us just a Statista. What's that? Interesting. Okay, so here we go. So we have 14. We had a couple of pretty high numbers there. So here we go. We were sitting here in the 2s, doing happy around 2% on average. 2.3, 1.9, 1.8, 1.83, 2.8, 2.3, 2.2. Then the tax cuts come into effect, and you get this big bump, 4.2, 3.5. See, why wouldn't these be considered recession? These should be considered recessionary too. That's interesting. Not sure why those aren't considered recessionary. But either way, we weren't at 5.1% and 4.9% in 2014. I don't remember that. Do you guys remember that? It doesn't seem right with me. I'm going to look at a different one. Gross domestic product. Okay, there we go. So, yeah, definitely some declining numbers here. I'm not quite sure. Am I missing something here? Anyway, peak economy 4%. We're not growing more than 4%. This jump here was pretty much literally all of your tax dollars flowing through the economy. You know what I'm saying? So if you guys everyone got a tax cut, flows through the economy, but this is kind of the thing of trickle down, I guess, and I'm gonna paint it out here because I feel like it. So you've got, so you're flowing along with, I don't even know if I can do this justice in this, but if you're flowing along with some money here, and you've got your piece of the American pie here, it gets a little bit bigger. Well, you're going to slice a section of it off, and you're going to give it to your, like say that was your section to begin with right there, right? Okay, well now maybe your section is a little bit bigger. Maybe your section is that much bigger. Well, this flows into the general economy, okay? This flows in the general economy, but then where does it go after that? Well, it's going to flow, a little bit of it's going to flow back and reverberate through the economy, but eventually it's going to end up in a multinational corporation where it just sits there. Right? I mean, does that make sense? At least it makes sense to me. So eventually you're going to have, here's your multinational corporation, here's like your domestic stuff, right? That like these are the small businesses that everyone thinks like grow the economy. And I don't have necessarily hard data to back this up. And yes, this is very technical. But, so a portion of it is going to go here, but this is probably like 20%, 80% of it, you're going to buy something at Walmart, you're going to buy a GM car, you're going to get your mortgage refinanced at Chase, all these big multinational corporations. And where does that money go? Into the much larger stock market. Is pretty much where that money goes, because all these profits, where do they go? They pretty much go here. They don't like filter their way, back into the economy. They don't. It never like. That's a horrible. Why am I on a triangle? It never like goes this way. You know what I mean? Like things never end up back in this direction. All money ends, and all money seems to end at multinational corporations. So. Anyway, that's kind of my gist of it. Take a look at Brazilian stock market. A big volume capitulation, right? Is not that price action too weak for capitulation or something holding it up? Yeah, let me take a look. Okay, well, there's Bitcoin falling. I told Ted to maybe wait for a bounce, and I was wrong. Yeah, let's see here. We've got, what's Bitcoin Cash doing? Yeah, it's still holding up. CIEL3. Oh, there we go. I've never looked at this chart before in my life. This candle right here. The dollar index? What do you mean there, Big D? Oh, I'm on the 15-minute. I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't realize what time frame I was on. Oh, that one. Okay. Well, that's not necessarily a capitulation. It could be a bottoming candle. I wouldn't necessarily view it as capitulation. Let's see how big it is. Why do I have all this? I have this because I usually use this with crypto, and they don't have earnings, so I don't really get... Oh, okay, there we go. Where is it? Where is it trading? Events, there we go. Earnings, dividends. Perfect. Oh, it's sitting on a line, so it disappears there. Oh, that is big. That's huge. That's a very large candle. Here's another very large candle. Hold on a second. There we go. The dark theme here kind of screws with my eyes the way this monitor is set up. That's a pretty good candle. There's no follow through on it though. What's our volume? 55.74 million. Definitely bigger than that. 41. $44. So it appears to be the biggest candle in the room at this stage of the game. 65. There's another really high volume candle. So it looks like you get these from time to time on this index. This one didn't necessarily equate to a top. It would have had to equate to a breakout of some kind. What's this? Why is this one candle so massive? 473 million. Looks like it. I'm not quite sure what this is. But yeah, so it has a couple big spikes like that. Yeah, technically speaking, it's a nice candle. The problem here is no follow through. What you're going to look for in this instance is a break of this high here at the 995 level. Oh, so this is a stock. I was thinking it was an index or something. Gotcha. Yeah, so what you're going to look for is a break of a high of some kind, even after that kind of a candle. You don't blanket buy unless you're buying on that day. I don't mind you buying on, like, say the middle of the day, you see this volume is just going to be stupid huge. Like, say the middle of the day, you're equal with, no, you're fine, man, don't worry about it. Say the middle of the day, you're equal with this prior candle here, or even just, you're like up here somewhere, like, whoa, this is going to be a huge volume day. And let's say you're in the middle of this candle. I don't mind if you buy like right there, but I don't know if I would blanket buy over here based on this candle over here, because what you have at this stage of the game is a high, and you have a little bit of selling. You have a higher low. Luckily, we haven't made a new low, but I would really wait for that 995 to be taken out unless you see some other kind of reversal sign or bottoming signal or something like that. And I'm not sure what the index is doing. Stocks are usually influenced by their parent index. So you need to know if the index is in a bull market or bull trend, bear trend, neutral trend, and trade accordingly. But I would keep an eye on it, probably place an alert level here at 995 and just let it work. The dollar index, that's a good point. What is the dollar? And I never look at that. What's the dollar? Let's look at the dollar. Dollar General, Dollar Tree, US dollar, Canadian spot, dollar index. I used to know this. I see what you're saying with Bitcoin. I don't necessarily know if that's the rationale for the Bitcoin drop, personally. I mean, you could argue that your car's value is let's see here. Oh, there you go. How are you able to post links? No one else can post links. What the heck? Maybe it has to do with the fact that this is a live stream and the other one is an event. No one's been able to post links. I'll bet you that's the difference. Events, they don't let it do it. Okay, so one day, that's fine. Let's go. I want to look at a longer period here. Advanced charting. There we go. DXY. Will that work for me? Not sure if it will. Doesn't appear to be. And futures are closed, ladies and gentlemen. Having too much fun staying here longer than I thought I was going to. Let's go to 3 years. Really zoom out here. I'll leave the MACD. Doesn't matter that much. Simple moving average. That doesn't really matter, I don't think, with the dollar index. We're down at 90. We peaked up here at, looks like 103. We're at 96, 97, 96 and a half? 97. Okay, so from 90 to 103, and we're at 97. So we're kind of in the middle here, middle of this range. I wouldn't view that as necessarily bullish or bearish on the dollar itself. I also wouldn't equate this to the Bitcoin price move, to be quite honest with you. It's kind of like I was saying a little bit earlier. You don't value your car based on the value of the dollar, whether it drops a little bit or not. But Bitcoin's down much more than 0.65%. I just view Bitcoin on its own recognizance here. Oops. There we go. I'm in the wrong screen. So, no, I think Bitcoin's dropping a little bit because it's just selling's dried up. Or I'm sorry, buying's dried up. We were talking about this morning in the power hours, buying has dried up a little bit. We were still in this channel here, kind of like right there. There was a channel forming here, potential for an ascending base. Looks like that's been negated. We never even had the bounce from this morning. Yeah, we never really had a bounce, but we do have increasing selling volume, which is intriguing. 30 minutes left in this 2-hour candle. We also talked about the volume aggregation tool here being red ever since that point, right where all that green volume stopped. So we had lower volumes too up until it looks like 9 o'clock. Now we have elevated. So we'll see if this turns around right here or not, but I don't think it has too much to do with the dollar. All right, guys, I just want to jump on here for a few minutes and kind of talk a little bit about the markets, the bad day we're having, and yeah, so it looks like we're going to come back down to some median price ranges in a lot of these names. So guys, have a good weekend. Have a Merry Christmas if I don't see you. If you don't celebrate Christmas, happy whatever you do. Hanukkah's over with, I believe. So happy Hanukkah that's over, and any other good stuff. So thanks, guys. I'll see you guys on Monday morning. Even though the market will be very muted, it should be an interesting Monday. I'll see you guys then. Thanks for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe if you like my video and didn't mind my ramblings and rantings. Have a good weekend. Have a good holiday. See you Monday.